Naaman. Did Kevin get caught in traffic? No? He'll be here? Okay. So we're going to do a little review, and then we'll do the questions and on Naaman. So what do we know? What do we know about Naaman?
Commander of an army.
Commander of an army, okay. Probably a world leader army. I mean, it's a world power. Yes, superpower.
He's a Gentile.
He's a Gentile, okay.
He was hard-headed.
He's hard-headed. Not completely hard. He's hard-headed enough he doesn't want to do things, but he's also humble enough or unhard-headed enough that he will listen to a little girl. Okay. Kevin brought up one thing about Naaman. What's the one thing we remember about Naaman? He's a leper. That's a bad deal. It's still not a great thing to have leprosy even today. And so he's a leper. He's a commander of the army, a world power army. He has got the respect of his king. He looked like he's got a very good working relationship with his king. I mean, the king said, go, here, take this letter from me and go see if you can get your cure. Okay? He is leading, and we kind of come to that conclusion, he's leading the bands of invaders, raiders, I guess would be, into Israel, and they're raiding different cities, and they have captured a small Israelite girl, and she's the one that I told Greg, said that's one of the heroes of the whole story. A little girl captured, kidnapped basically, taken from her home. She's now in Syria and tending to Naaman's wife, and yet she's showing concern for Naaman because he's a leper. What did she say? What specifically, how did she go about helping Naaman? What did she do?
Told him about the prophet who could heal him.
Okay, there was a prophet back in Israel. If you could see him, he could heal you.
That's an amazing statement. Because it wasn't just like they had to heal you. You know,
No.
just because he is a prophet doesn't mean he's going to do it.
But it also shows a lot of faith in Elisha and God.
That's right.
She has the faith. He can do it. God can do it. And she's sharing that with him. That puts her, that's one of the heroes in the story in my book. The fact that she sees the problem, she knows what the solution is, and she puts the two together. Yes, sir.
I think it says a lot about Naaman too, that, you know, that he wasn't a tyrant as far as, you know, she respected him and cared for him enough to say, hey,
You can get help.
let's
Yep.
fix him, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah, we said that just before you walked in about he shows, your dad said he's hard-headed, but he was also not hard-headed enough to listen to a little girl that said, hey, if you go back to Israel, there's a guy there that can cure you. And he was all ears after that. Okay, so now he's wealthy. We did the math. Connie, did you write down the math there you did Sunday? What kind of money did he bring with him?
It was 10,721,530.
$10 million basically of
Over
silver and gold.
10.5 million.
So he's pretty, and they didn't say, the king said, here, take this money out of the treasury and go get your cure. This is more or less Naaman's, well, you probably know where it came from.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's sending it back home basically. It probably came out of Israel. We don't know for sure, but this is not the only country he's working on.
Right.
He is the leader, and I'm sure whatever country that the king of Syria wants to, we're going to work on Israel this week, and tomorrow we're going over here to work on the other Babylon or something like that. They're going to raid and take and do whatever they have to do to bring another country down, and this is right now is Israel's time. And that could have been a little bit from God. Think about it. They're not following God. They're just terrible. Israelites are just terrible on what they're doing with God. Just terrible. And God sends these raiding people from other countries. He uses other countries to bring them back. Look what he did in the Judges. It's not much different than how he's got a king that's crooked. They had judges before. Everybody did what was right in their own sight. Now they just follow a king and do what's wrong in their own sight. But I think he's still using other countries to kind of thump them in the head and say, hey, get back in line. And I think this is where Naaman, whether he knows it or not, I think Syria was used by God to get them in line. Try to get them to think about, if it gets bad enough, they'll get back in line. They'll come around and follow God again. And here's Naaman. He's part of that. I almost call it a solution. So he's wealthy. He goes to his king, Ben-Hadad, I think was his name, and he said, the girl we captured said there's somebody in Israel that can cure me. And he said, I'll write a letter. He wrote a letter, and basically the king of Syria wrote a letter to the king of Israel. And Naaman takes the letter and he gives it to the king of Israel, and it said, this is my captain of my army. Please cure him of his leprosy. Well, that's a big order, isn't it? Nobody can cure leprosy, and yet he tells them, he said, what's the one thing that the Israelite king is worried about?
War with Syria?
He's picking a fight with me. He's doing something to getting me in a bind, something I can't take care of, and he's expecting it. He's just looking for a fight. So he said, no, and he tears his robe. That's a sign of distress, but a sign of what would be the proper word? Just anguish. It's just bugging him to death. It would be a little bit stronger than that, I guess. It just bothers him, the fact that Ben-Hadad is trying to pick a fight with me. He's finding a reason to come against me with his army, because I wouldn't take care of Naaman. Sir?
I think that we have to leave all the options open, so I'm not saying that I am sure of this or even leaning this way, but it reminds me of Jonah. He's coming to get healing, the guy who's beaten him in this city and that city, and now he's got to be magnanimous. He's got to have mercy on the enemy, the same way God was asking Jonah to have mercy on the enemy. And since he tore his clothes, it makes me wonder if he was stressed between two different attitudes and not, he says, am I God? And I think that some of that is to decide to forgive you, to treat you like someone who deserves mercy, that kind of thing. He was perplexed, but I don't know that. I find it interesting that he tore his clothes, and I'm wondering.
Well,
the prophet says, "What's the big deal? Why you tear your clothes?"
Wasn't that a normal procedure? If something's not going right, that would tear their robes. And I didn't look it up. I should have, about what did that mean. That was a very distraught, strong problem.
Well, if you move forward, 900 years, 800 years, when Jesus is on trial and he says what they hate to hear, they tear their clothes.
Yep.
That was anger.
He said, I am the Son of God. And just, no, just,
right.
Yes. So even that was ongoing. That was a way they showed anguish, anger, distress, all the above.
A mixed emotion.
They didn't tear their clothes up and say, hey, I'm happy now. No, this was a problem.
Elisha tore his clothes when Elijah was taken by God.
Yep.
Well, that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing that he got to go to be with God. However, he's got mixed emotions about it because he's going to miss his mentor.
Yep, big time.
It's a mixing, a very, very distraught. I don't know what to think Rip?
Yeah, and why would ripping your clothes be such a big show of your distress?
Why did they choose that in the culture?
Well, I'm just, yeah, why would that be such a big deal about ripping your clothes?
You want more guesses?
Yeah, probably because they didn't have another pair of clothes.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, this is my one suit, and I ripped it because you made me mad, or
Yeah.
just because things aren't going my way,
Yeah.
and
Why was a good gift? Why he brought him 10 changes of clothing.
okay, I didn't think about that one. Yep, 10 changes of clothes. That,
For the prophet. But
yeah, for the prophet. Okay, so we see where Naaman is. The leprosy, we've talked about that a little bit. It's even today we have leprosy today. It is curable if it's caught early. If you let it go, the nerve damage is permanent. You can lose fingers. It said it infected your eyes, infected your nose, it infected the extremities, and that was where the fingers would fall off. I mean, they just basically lack of circulation, the bacterial infection, kind of like gangrene, I guess, in a sense. But you lose things rot off, basically. And you've got to think about, okay, they're not going to keep this real clean. They got to smell good. I mean, you think about it. If you had a wound that was gangrenous, or however you say that word, and it is rotting off, it's got to smell bad. I mean, think about rotting flesh. You go by a dead possum on the side of the road and you go, man, that stunk. You keep on going. But you think about living with that smell, it's in you. You know, when I worked at the power plant, we had to clean tunnels. And tunnels were concrete. Vicky says, ooh, she remember that. The tunnels were concrete tunnels. They were, I'm going to say 8 foot tall, circular. So it was that way, 8 foot. You'd put a board in there so you could reach the top, and went in there. Well, they put fans out there sucking the air out. So because the barnacles, once they die, they give off hydrogen cyanide. That's the right word, cyanide. If they start rotting, they put off a gas that will kill you. So you got to get in there. When they bring the water out, they pump the water out, you got to get in there right now and start scraping barnacles before they die, start putting off the gas. They have fans blowing out. You walk by that fan and say, man, that stinks. Man, it just smells like a dead fish. I've always told people, if you took a 80-pound grouper and cut him open and stuck him over your head, that's what the tunnel would smell like. I mean, this is it. It's nothing. You don't smell nothing but dead fish around you. And you smell that fan blowing out. I mean, it's a big air fan, and it's blowing out of that tunnel. And you walk by, it stinks. When you climb down that ladder and you take about 10 steps, I don't smell anything anymore. Yeah, nose blind is a real word. It works. And I imagine these people that had leprosy, what's bad? I don't smell anything. They knew they stunk. Because we would do tunnels, and you'd go back into the break room, and everybody in the break room at 9 o'clock, they'd clear out. They didn't want to be around you because Vicky said she'd put my clothes when I went home outside and hope the cats would drag it off, because it went through you. It was everywhere. And I can imagine having that rotten, dead flesh smell. Have it got to your stomach yet? I mean, just think about that. It's all day long. I can't get away from it. It is me. You know, you're not putting deodorant on this to make it go away. This is rotten flesh. And that was his life. It's coming. It's coming. If I don't get help, this is coming. This is what his life is going to be like. This is what they expected. That's why when somebody had it, you don't get next to me. I'm unclean. That's what they were required. A Jew was required to tell another Jew, I'm unclean. That's why it made it even more important when Jesus, the 10 lepers come up to him and he healed them. He didn't run away from them. Think about that a minute. You know, he healed them. And here, Naaman, he's stuck with this that you can't get rid of it. Even today, they have to do it. It has to be early. You still can have the same problems they had then if you don't correct it early. Well, here he's got it, and he's found a chance to get rid of it. What would you do? get up and go. Go as hard as you can. So here he is. He's in Israel. He goes to the king. The king says, I can't help him. Who am I? Am I God to make alive or make dead or kill? I can't help him. Nobody can. Well, Elisha heard it, said, send him to me. They'll know there's a prophet in Israel. There's a God in Israel. There's a God of Israel, and he's the living God, and he can take care of it. That's basically what he's telling them. So Naaman shows up, and he gets the answer that he wants, doesn't he? No, that's not what I wanted to hear. Go down to the Jordan and get in that muddy river and dip 7 times, and you'll be clean. I know what he's thinking. You go down there and dip in that thing, you're going to be dirtier than when you started. It's a mud hole. No. I could go back home. Those rivers are cleaner than everything Israel's got. Put them all together. It's still better than those 2 rivers. But that's not going to clear it. That's not going to do it. And it says in the title of this lesson, it says unconditional obedience. That is where Naaman is right now. He's at a crossroad. I got this disease. I can't get rid of it. Nobody can. He says, do this and I'll be clean. But that's not what I want to do. What are you going to do, Naaman? Do what you want to do and keep it because it's not going away? Or you do what God said and be clean? And that's us today. You know what God says to hear, believe, repent, confess, be baptized. Well, I like 2 or 3 of them, but some of them I don't see. I don't see any sense in that. I can tell you right now, it don't make sense. It makes God sense. God said it. We do it. That's Naaman right there. God said it. I either do it and get clean, or I don't do it and I keep the disease with me. And I did an invitation years ago about hog hunting with Dick Warren. And Jason McCree, was that his name? He come out there with us, and we rode all day, all afternoon. We finally saw one hog out in the middle of a pasture, and it was an old boar hog, and they fertilized the pastures out there with chicken manure. They would bring a truckload of chicken manure and dump it out in the pasture, and they had a spreader. They'd load it up, and they'd just run up in the pastures, and that's what they spread that out, and that's what they did the pastures with. Well, pigs like that stuff. I'm sorry. That pig had done walked out there and gotten belly deep in that stuff, and he's having himself a time. And we saw that pig, and we're going to catch that baby. We're going to show Jason, which was a FC student at the time, how we do this. We chase that booger. He goes into the woods. We go, and the dogs, we catch that booger, and we got him. And we got finished. Man, you mix a boar hog with chicken manure, and man, it's just like, it's still there. I can't get it off. Yeah, I think, did she make him ride in the back of the truck? No, I don't remember now. But it was bad. I get home, and I called Dick up. I say, Dick, I stink mad, man. How do you get this smell off? He says, I don't know. I got the same problem here. It was you can't get it off. And that was my invitation years ago, is sin's the same way. You get it on you, you can't get it off. It's up to God to get it off of you. You do what God said, it'll come off. That smell, there was nothing we could do about that. But it was the same thing. You can't take care of it yourself. This stuff here, this leprosy, he can't take care of it himself. Our sin, we can't take care of it ourselves. We've got to do what God said. If we don't do what God said, we don't get the cure. And it's amazing how many people today can say, well, Naaman, he did okay, but I don't see any sense in doing what? Well, I just don't believe it. You know? Or I just don't see it. I don't see any sense in that. So that's where people are today. I know you've run into that at the prison several times. I just don't see any sense in it. Well, do you think it made any sense to go dip in a muddy river to get clean? Didn't make any sense to that, did it? Does it make any sense to get dipped in a pool of water to wash away your sins? It doesn't make any sense, but God said it, so that's it. So now let's look at the questions here. Any questions or comments about Naaman in the review there? Okay. Well, we're going to match column A with column B. Who was the Syrian Baal god? Is it Ramon?
Okay.
I don't know.
Brendan?
Yeah, Rimmon. I don't know how to say it, but it's Rimmon. So, yep. And that was the Baal worship. And that was one of the more popular gods, idols in the Canaan area, that whole area there. And it seemed like Israel just jumped right on it. And who can we thank for the Baal worship? And before her? Well, Solomon, yep. And after him was Crazy Jerry. He's the one that he basically brought, well, you guys, we'll get our own priest. We'll have our own golden calves. It's kind of funny how they would do another golden calf. It didn't work out too good for Moses. Think a little bit, man. It didn't work out then. Why would you go again? Try it. Anyway, yeah, that was the Baal was the most popular, because they have other idol gods that you read about and go, never heard of that one. So Baal was the most popular. Okay, who was the servant of Elisha? Gehazi. Yep. And I think he might be the one that answered the door, basically, when Naaman shows up at Elisha's house, and he sends his servant out to tell him, you go tell him what to do. So, who was the king of Israel at this time? Jehoram. And when you read from about 2 Kings 6 up to about 2 Kings 12, 15, chapter 15, those names they got Jehoram and Joram and they have repeats and sound like everybody was same names were all kings at one time. It gets really confusing. Yes. What was the river in Syria? Abana.
Abana, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Also known as Barada.
That's in today's cold. It comes right out of the mountains. Yep. I can't think of anything I wouldn't think anything would be cold over there in the desert. But apparently there are some times that it's cold. And the king of Syria was? The last one.
Ben-Hadad, the only one left, Ben-Hadad.
Ben-Hadad. I just called him Hadad. Yep. Okay. Which king of Israel did the rabbis think Naaman personally killed? Midrash talking here now. Ahab. Remember, they said that he went into battle and he put on regular armor, and the guy just drew back a bow and let it fly, and it hit him in the joint of his armor. They say that Naaman is the guy that pulled the trigger on that. That's the Israel rabbis in their commentary. So you can't prove it, they can't disprove it. So that's what that's what they say. Okay, so what is the name of the god of the Syrians called in Assyria? Yeah, that's right. I would say Ramanu.
Ramanoodles.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and what about the other ones? Dagon, that was the Philistines. Molech was the Moabites, I think. And Chemosh was, I'm drawing a blank on that one. This is all the different gods. They're all different gods that they worship, different groups of people worshiped. And then you have the Israelites, and sometimes they worship Jehovah. Sometimes. I was reading on ahead, and one of the things it brought up was the fact they worshiped Jehovah partly. They would worship the Baals, but they also worship Jehovah. It's like we got it all covered. You know, God can cover this, and the idols can cover that. But and what does God say in the Ten Commandments about have no other gods before me? I think it'd probably have no other gods behind me, anywhere around me, nothing. There is no other God. And yet there they are. We're going to worship Jehovah, but we're also going to worship this too. And that's, we're fixing to talk about the Assyrians, and that's where they come unraveled. So, yes, it's just everybody had their own God. Which of the following is one of the two rivers in Syria that Naaman suggested is better than the Jordan?
Far.
Yeah. Pharpar. Yep. And that was, the other one was Abana. Okay. And he says those two rivers are better than all the rivers. Everything in Israel doesn't even compare to these two rivers. You ever been on a really clean river? Me and Kevin have been on the Rainbow River, and the Rock Springs Run, and both those are crystal clear. And it's amazing what you can see. And sometimes them four-legged creatures that crawl under you can see those too, and it's scary. But yes, it's just amazing how clear the water is. And I can just imagine the Pharpar and Abana rivers were probably very clean, very clear, and he'd rather go get in that than the Jordan. And I don't know that the Jordan was a mud hole. I mean, just that's the way he expresses it, but it might have been still cleaner than other rivers.
The other two were spring-fed.
They were?
That's what I read.
Well,
Not important, but,
what we read with they came out of the mountains, so it could have been snow melt, or it could have been spring fed. I know we were in Alaska, and the snow melt, it was muddy because it's coming out of the mountains, and it's picking up everything coming down. So, but I guess it clears up eventually. But yes, he's really adamant about this is not going to work. This is a muddy. How do I get clean in a dirty river? Good question. Okay, what passage of Scripture did rabbis use to compare Naaman to Moab?
Psalm 60, verse 8.
Yep. And he says that Moab was my wash basin. And I think, I never put those two together, Naaman and the Moab. I think Moab was more or less, he's saying he's a pity, it's a pitiful thing. It's a little thing. He's nothing big. He's just, it's just a little spot, a wet spot, my wash basin. Think about what God, he said the world is his step stool. Well, Moab would just be a bowl of water for him. That's what he's saying. He's just a wash basin, just a little thing. We're talking about the God of the universe. Yes. I did read that, and then I read the others in Second Samuel, where they referred to it, Moab, and I didn't get the connection that the rabbis are making. They're basing it on because I think Moab has the same root word as father in Israel, and that's where they're going, because the people that were with Naaman, when they said, "Father, wouldn't it be better if you just did what the man said? If he'd asked you to do something terrible hard, you would have done it." And he referred to Naaman as his father. And that's what they're saying, that Moab is a root word, or has a root word that means father in Israeli language. So that's That's pretty far out there, but that's what they come up with. So, and what does Ger Toshab mean? Not a perfect proselyte. Yep, and what is a proselyte?
A converter, someone who has converted from one religion to another.
Okay, an alien that went into the Israelite religion, became a Jew by faith, I guess, according to faith. Yes. And why would he be considered not a perfect proselyte?
He didn't worship God like a Jew.
True.
He's still willing to bow to a false god.
Okay.
Even under duress, doesn't matter, he's willing to do it. I guarantee you wouldn't get David to do that. Number two, he's got at least one captive girl that doesn't belong to him. We don't have any evidence he gave that girl back.
Okay.
No evidence, as you said, that he was circumcised.
True.
We see conversions, proselytes in the Old
Yep.
Testament. They're males, they get circumcised.
Even in the New Testament, there was some of that happen,
That
but not
still
for the
happens,
same
yeah,
reason. But
that's right.
yep. So yes, there was a lot of things, and he said that as
He
they
kept his job. I'm sorry, I just have to say this. He kept his job as a commander of the enemy.
But then I think of God using him as a rod to whip Israelite with. So, yeah. And it says here, the perfect proselyte, he accepted only some of the commandments of what the Israelites were commanded to do. And that might have been the bigger one, might have been the circumcision. Because it shows nowhere that he did that. He wouldn't have been able to go to the temple. He wouldn't have been able to take of the Passover. There's a lot of things that not being a true converted, circumcised male, that would have closed that door. So, yes. So, but he was still, I would say, sometimes he might have been better than some of the Israelites. Think about it. The stuff that he said he would not bow down toward another God. Only true God was the God of Israel. And that's a stronger statement than what they're making and what they're doing. Their everyday lives. We'll follow God and we'll follow whoever, Baal or whoever. So they were split, and he's more or less one way. He might not be fully converted or 100%, but I think he's better than a lot of the Israelites at that time. That doesn't mean that, well, was there anything that said that the foreigners had to be a Jewish proselyte to be in the right relationship with God? Because that was only given to the Jew. Could they believe in God and not do everything the Jew said?
To what end? I don't understand.
Well,
you can do whatever you want, but what do you get in return?
Well, you believe in God, you obey the laws. I guess he didn't obey every law.
No.
Okay. So to be righteous before God, you had to become a Jew?
Yes, you're just the same as Cornelius had to be a Christian.
No, that's a different covenant there, I would think. I mean, what about all the other Jews? All the other Gentiles. He's the only one that decided to obey God. I'm not saying that would be a good excuse for us not to be able to follow God totally. I'm not saying that. But how far did a Gentile have to go to be pleasing to God in the Old Testament?
Paul said that those times of ignorance God overlooked. So there was a degree
Yep.
of apparently some people being saved back in that old covenant that never did become in covenant. It's possible.
Now, if you're going to worship God, but then that brings up the problem, if you're worshiping God but you're not obeying God, then that's just like today. You believe God, but you don't, you believe in God, but you don't believe God. as we put it today. So, it's best if you obey God totally. Because I'm not going to get into mix on whether or not he is righteous before God because of what he did. All I'm going to say is what we need to do today. That's all I can be sure of. What we do today. Yep. What 2 reasons are given in the Midrash for Naaman's leprosy?
Either he was vain and egotistical,
Okay.
or
Because
he had taken an Israelite maiden to be a servant to his wife.
Okay, and this is the Midrash, that's their theory.
Right.
Okay, and we know the Midrash is nothing but Jewish commentary. So, but that was their thinking. It doesn't say, I think if God had struck him with leprosy, they would have been something stated, God struck him with leprosy because. Wasn't it Aaron that was struck his hand with leprosy because he revolted against Moses? Miriam. One of them. I know it was 2 of them there. But the hand turned white as snow. It's leprosy. Right now. God did it. Boom. He got the credit. Well, you think if Naaman had been struck by leprosy by God, I think God would have been given the credit. This is why he has it, because of this problem. So I think he just had leprosy. How did the rabbis think that Naaman killed the king of Israel? Just let her go. A blind shot. Just sling one in the air. It'll hit somebody. And it did. Whether he was the one, who knows? What was Naaman told to do in order to be cleansed of his leprosy?
Dip in the Jordan River 7 times.
7 times. Can you imagine in your mind this man climbing down in a river, dipping down 1, 2, 3. This isn't going to work. Look, it's not working at all. Give up right then, right? Just, No, let's go 4, 5, 6. I told you it's not going to work. I've still got this stuff. When did it work?
After the 7th.
When he did what God said, number 7. Then he come up and he was clean. But that's the way people think today. Hey, I told you it wouldn't work. Well, you didn't do everything God said. Yeah, I can just see Naaman I told you this wouldn't work. What is the approximate value in today's money, U.S. currency? You said $10.5 million, what he brought to Israel. And what did Naaman say about God when he realized he was healed? Huh?
Say it out loud.
There's no other God but Elijah.
No other God but the God of Israel.
But I'm going to go back and worship the other gods.
Yeah, no. He said he wasn't going to worship me. He said, just excuse my problem if I have to go in and hold the king up and I'm in that temple, but I'm not worshiping that God. That's why he said it. Ma'am?
Don't you think that it wasn't just the obedience, but the humility? I mean, God expected him to humble himself, and I'm not so sure that, I think once he decided, okay, I'll go in that water, I don't know that I think that he went in, I would think that he went in to do what God said to do, that was the only way. You know what I'm saying?
You're saying that if he didn't have the
I don't know
right...
if He was resistant the whole time he's dipping. I kind of feel like he gave in to
Well,
know that.
if Elisha said, you go dip 7 times, you'll be clean. He goes in with a bad attitude. I know this isn't going to work, and he does it.
Did he though go in with the bad attitude?
Well, I don't know. I just said that he might have, so I told you this wouldn't work on number 3, number 4, 5, 6. But when number 7, he's got to be clean on number 7, whether he has an attitude or not, because Elisha said it would happen. God told Elisha, this is the way it's going to happen.
Sooner or later, either before or during or after, he was humbled. I don't know when.
But that won't work with us today. We have to have the right attitude to be cleaned of our sin.
I was
You know.
reading when you were asking about the tearing of the clothes. In Joel, God says, rend your heart, not your garment. So,
It was a common thing.
well, he's saying, I don't approve of this. Yeah, if you want to tear something, rend your heart, not your garment. So, I think God looks for the humility and the obedience too, so.
Well, that's got to go with it. I mean, you've got to have the right attitude. You've got to,
I mean, I know somebody that actually was baptized with a really bad attitude. They did it for fun as a teenager, and, you know, I don't think that worked at all. You know what I'm saying? So, I think it wasn't just the going down in the water, it was also the faith.
right? I think you could probably, well, that'd be like dunking a brand new newborn baby. What are they? They're just going to come up mad. I mean, guarantee it. They don't have any care about being dunked in the water. They have no faith. They're just getting wet and mad. And that would be the same. What did it do for him? So if you don't have faith, if you don't have any of what prerequisite to baptism, then what have you done? You just got wet. You've got to have faith. You've got to believe. You've got to hear it. You can't believe it if you don't hear it. You've got to confess and repent. You don't do any of that, then you've wasted your time. You've just got wet. Okay, what did Naaman say? Well, what gifts did Gehazi accept from Naaman and after Naaman's healing? Clothes, yeah. And was it 2 talents of silver?
It says give them a talent of silver, so you can assume one for each of them.
That's what it sounded like. And were there any of them there? I think he made all that up.
I do too.
I think there's some people showed up. They need this stuff. Yeah, that was crazy. You know, and what did Elisha say when he shows back up? When he shows back up, comes back through the door, what does Elisha ask him? He kind of, you know, how did the man act when you ask him for the clothes? Basically, he's pointing out that I know you did it. He's pointing out that you took the stuff. You lied about it. And we know it. God knows it. I know it. And now you've got the leprosy. So that came from God. That one did. That germ didn't jump over on Gehazi. That came from God. And who got the credit? It basically, Elisha said, you've got it, and that was the word of God. So that's why I think that Naaman didn't get the leprosy from God because he did something. He got leprosy because he got leprosy.
Did you notice he didn't ask for all 10 talents of silver?
He couldn't have carried that. Would have been 600 pounds. Think about it. I put one in each bag. I can carry. That was 66. That's 120 pounds of silver. What he did get. You get 66 talents. That's 600 pounds, isn't it? What? It was 600 pounds of silver. What, did I read that right? What could he do with
10 talents is 666, so
Yep.
divided by 10 is 66.
66 pounds per talent. So he could not carry. That's just too much weight. I got to get in the door with this stuff and not be caught, you know. You think right, man. You can't walk in there with 600 pounds of gold or silver in your back pocket. No, I got to look right. Oh yeah, right. Go to the gym and work out so I can carry all that back, right? No. So yeah. Okay. Why? Well, think about it. He can't get back in the doorway if he's got that stuff hanging out everywhere. 600 pounds of gold, how are you going to hide that? That's like having
So
meat.
you're saying when it says, when Naaman saw him running after him, you're saying he ran the whole way and caught up to Naaman?
Yeah, that's what it said. He ran.
I will run after him. Yeah.
And when I caught up, here, take 2. That's 120 pounds of silver. If he gave him 10 talents, that would have been 600 pounds of silver.
Surely a crook like him would have buried it in the sand and come back for it.
Well, I guess so. That would have been, I'm not that good a crook, I guess.
But not the clothes.
No, you got, well, bury the clothes with it. What are you going to do? You can't go back in the house with all that hanging off of you.
No, you
The
can't.
the man knew it anyway.
Yeah.
You're not hiding it. There's got to be a lesson right there somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
You can't hide it from God. Okay, that ends that. We're going to be doing Assyrian kings, and I'm going to have a good time with that one because I can't say half their names. We may go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that way.
What
But
we got left here? We got how many more lessons?
we have 2 more lessons.
2 more lessons.
Unless we want to do Cyrus again. But we will start with the Assyrian kings come Sunday morning. Any more comments or questions? Appreciate the comments and questions that we had. And I think you got the invitation.
I don't have the invitation.
Steve, Steve got the invitation. Okay.
I'm leading the song.
You leading the song. Well, I'm going to get out of the way for a little bit.
If you will, turn with me to Ephesians 4. Ephesians 4. Tonight I want to talk about putting off the old man, and to get the context, I want to start in verse 17. Ephesians 4 and verse 17. Now this I say and testify in the Lord, that you must no longer walk as the Gentiles do, in the futility of their minds. They are darkened in their understanding, alienated from the life of God because of the ignorance that is in them due to their hardness of heart. They have become callous and have given themselves up to sensuality, greedy to practice every kind of impurity. But that is not the way you learn Christ, assuming that you have heard about him and were taught in him as the truth is in Jesus, to put off your old self, which belongs to your former manner of life and is corrupt through deceitful desires, and to be renewed in the spirit of your minds, and to put on the new self, created after the likeness of God in true righteousness and holiness. When a person obeys the gospel, he is to put off the old man, meaning the old sinful way of living. Christianity is not merely attending worship. It is a transformation. Paul lists sins that must be removed, like lying, stealing, corrupt speech, bitterness, wrath, and malice in Ephesians 4, 25 through 31. A Christian cannot live worldly and please God. At baptism, we are buried with Christ and raised to walk in newness of life. Romans 6, 3 through 4. The old life of sin should stay buried. God calls his people to holiness. We should speak differently, we should act differently, and think differently. than the world around us. Every day, we must put on the new man by prayer, Bible study, worship, and faithful living. Godly living is not accidental. It requires effort and devotion. Let us leave behind the old man of sin and live as new creatures